Christ is risen, indeed he is risen. I'm looking at trying to increase my spirituality to, strengthen the power of the Spirit within me. Even in the midst of all the things that are happening to us, all the targeting, uh, my own. It's difficult to adjust to the single life, um, particularly when you chose somebody. There may be distractions there, or you'll meet somebody that you'll be like, oh, they're attractive, they're nice to talk to, but it's difficult to move forward. Um, and God has a plan. And being surrounded with a lot of people that drink, smoke marijuana or cigarettes or cigarillos, cigars. Um, people that may like to sit and play games all day, or just talk about nonsense stuff. When they're traveling or out and about. But not people that don't really focus on the Spirit. We're surrounded with these people for 8 years. Not that I'm the spiritual powerhouse. Um, everybody experiences difficult periods, and sometimes you may find it difficult to get over a hump that returns or whatever, or a challenge or obstacle that you've dealt with before. And I'm just, starting to the point of looking at rewards and consequences of various actions, Well, I mean, obviously, if you're single, there's no infidelity, but that person that you spent time with, maybe it was a one-night stand, the rewards and consequences from um, a few minutes up to a couple of hours of um, enjoyment, we'll say, or smoking that pack of cigarettes. Oh, it's been such a relief. It's been 5 years. Again, the rewards and consequences are smoking that joint when, really you just blew $50 for, if you're lucky, 2 hours of flying high, and then losing another $20 or $30 in food because you're going to get the munchies, that $20 or $30 edible just turned into a $50 or $60 when you add all the costs up. Then also the fact of when the 1 or 2 hours is done, or a really good blend when the 5 or 6 hours is done, nothing has really changed in your life. Nothing's changed. Or again, go back to that one night stand, or anything else that people who are carnally minded or caught in that mindset would think of. The reward is pretty minimal. And when you walk away from it, nothing's changed. Unless, of course, you're in a committed relationship, engaged or married, not just like, yeah, I love you too. I'll see you next week. Some kind of commitment that makes it difficult to walk away. That contract that is made. Even putting a ring on a finger, that's not always guaranteed. But now a marriage contract, that's not so easy to walk away from. These things, or drinking that 6-pack, some things you're going to have less reward and more consequence when you're done. I mean, of course, the 6-packs is not really, for guys, especially a big guy, but, it can make it a case. The dehydration, the headache, the feeling, the sore throat, the achiness, all of those things, the hangover part. Even if you have a couple of hours of just nothing matters, woo! The long-term consequence and reward, it's not really worth it. Um, even if you're watching a movie, whether uh, action movie or a horror movie or a more personal, couples type movie, um, again, the reward and the consequence. It's pretty minimal rewards, and consequences may vary. But then when you spend a half an hour in prayer, it changes you. It gives you more patience, more fortitude. Sometimes God's Spirit will wash over you, and um, you'll see areas where you're weak. You'll see how to change them, and He'll give you ideas on how to fight. Your weaknesses. Um, it's just things that I'm thinking of. Trying to. Not that I'm not a spiritual person. It comes and goes. With demands of the family, like any single guy. Or I mean, single or married guy, single parent guy. Um, the more that you add to the equation, the more support you need. Which is why married priests have an entire community to support them. In addition to very tough, very industrious, very wise wives. Um, but non-married priests have that too. I'm just making the point within the churches that have married priests. But anyway, um, looking at things in terms of rewards, punishment, or long-term consequences or long-term gains, like prospect theory. Um, it's a theory in economics and in terrorism studies, where you look at short-term benefits, long-term gains, and the opposite. Oh, looks like my phone is hanging here. But you look at positive and negatives, long-term and short-term gains and losses from a particular action. That's prospect theory. It's one of my favorite theories to talk about and write about in terrorism studies. But I'm applying the same theory to um, faith praxis, morality praxis, your actions of right and wrong, your what we call them, your vices and your virtues. Um, just something to think about. Maybe people out there are also trying to be more spiritual, or maybe they've encountered obstacles that have kind of set them back significantly, um, such as happened to me. But we still push forward, because even Jesus was tempted. Even Jesus cried with tears when he prayed, and even Jesus had to take a sort of spiritual control over himself, so he could say to the devil, "Get behind me, Satan. Do not put the Lord God to the test."